With only three of you, you had to do a lot of multitasking over there, I guess, right?
Yeah. When our drummer left, there was a kind of I'll show you aspect. And I thought, okay, well, now I don't have to tell him how I want the drums. I can play them. And I'm an okay drummer. I mean, I'm not a great drummer, but I've got a kind of style, I've got a feel, and I like playing drums. That's the other thing. So I knew if I kept it simple, I would be able to cover it. So you'll notice the drums on Bound to Run are pretty simple.
But then there's three of you. You know, presumably as a man, it's difficult to multitask, but you have to multitask. You've got Linda's still learning how to play instruments at this time. And how was that? Was that, you know, every husband and wife goes through, you know, the learning how to drive experience, maybe, for example, where, you know, you'd rather hear it from anyone else in the whole world than
you know,
your husband.
the thing was, we'd made a decision. It was kind of, you know, we were in love. We wanted to be together. I think that was like the central idea. And then it was like, oh, well, then if you're going to be in a band, you'll need to learn a bit of instruments. She played a little bit of piano, but not since she was a kid. So I would show her basic stuff. And most of what we were doing was not Tchaikovsky, you know, it's pretty much 3-4 chords, you know. So she would pick it up, and she had a good sense of rhythm.
Well, I had to worry more about learning to play piano and keyboard, so most of my time went really to that. I wasn't too worried about what critics said, because in a way they were right. They got me at a learning stage, and I can see it was such a contrast from what people expected. I can almost see why they put me down. Well, I've got so much pleasure out of it now. I think at first when you don't know anything, you can't really get pleasure out of it, but now that I really do know chords and I do have a feel for music, I really love it.
All night long on a desert island, we live in the trees, and we fly in the breeze with the blue.
McCartney was in no doubt that Linda was a key member of Wings. He valued her contribution to the sound he was trying to create. And the reality was, she'd been singing with Paul since the days of the Beatles.
She could sing harmonies very well.
Yeah.
First time I'd ever heard that was, we'd gone over to the studio and I needed a high harmony on the Beatles' Let It Be. And I couldn't sing it, and none of us could sing it. So I just, on the off chance, it was late night and we were there on our own with the engineer, I said, could you get that? I can sing it.
Yeah.
But, and she could do it. She did it great. So she's the top harmony. So things like that, you know, we were learning as we went along. But she picked it up great.
Well,
so much so that years later, Michael Jackson and I were working together. And he said, oh, who were those harmonies, Paul, in Wings? I said, well, that was me, Linda, and Denny. He said, Linda, can we get her to do so? Linda sang down harmonies by special request. So, you know, she had a certain special something. But the point you were saying before about teaching your wife, not easy. No fun at all. So I'm kind of going, you know, here it is, you know, and then thinking, that'll do. And it's like, no, it's not quite like that. what I meant is like that.
It was odd for me actually doing research for this, because I always thought Linda was a musician first and foremost, because I was always brought up watching you with her.
Well, that's good. I'm glad. So she would be very glad of that.
Lagos hadn't been easy at first for Paul and the band, but they'd got the studio working and were starting to make music. Then something truly frightening happened. Something that could have cost Paul and Linda their lives.
So Linda and I walking along this dark street from some mate's house that we were back to our place, which was probably about 2 miles away. We thought, beautiful, Africa, beautiful night, starry night, right. Walking along. And then a car just pulls up and the window comes down, rolled down, and the guy sort of said, you know, he looks at me, and I said, I got in his face. I always get in people's face. I said, all right, mate, how you doing? You know, what's up? And he said, he looked at me like strange. He said, are you travellers? I went, yeah. Travellers, yeah, you got it. I said, listen, mate, it's very nice of you to stop, but we don't want a lift. We're walking. That's what I thought. You know, I'm like, you know, everyone's nice.
Yeah.
He's offering us a lift. Suddenly, all the doors open, and 5 young chaps get out.
And then you
And
realise.
there's a little squat one who's got a knife. I go, oh.
Yeah.
Ding.
You don't want to give us a lift
Finally.
at all.
Oh, that's what it was all along. And Linda was great. She's screaming at him. She said, leave him alone! Leave him alone! He's a musician! Like, that's going to help. Well, you know, music. He's a musician.
Leave him alone.
Leave him
It's gonna be
alone.
fine.
And we said, what do you want? What do you want? Tape, camera, tape, whatever. Well, because the guy's got a knife, you know, he's fairly persuasive. So I said, go on, you can have it, you can have it.
Were you
Cool.
tempted then to go home? Because everything's.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't
it's good.
remember. We just went into the studio, told our story to the guys there, the local guy, the studio manager. And he said, you were lucky. I said, what do you mean, lucky? You got mugged, you know. He said, no, he said, if you had been local, you could have got killed.
Wow. But then you had to start from scratch. I mean, had you got. It was all up there?
Yeah, so that was the thing. They took all the demo tapes along with everything else. But I remembered everything.
But then
Then I had lyric sheets and
Okay.
stuff. And, you know, once you've written a song, a lyric sheet's often all you need just to go, oh, yeah, that's how it goes.
A grand old painter died last night. His paintings on the wall. Before he went, he bade us well and said good night to us all. Drink to me, drink to my health. You know I can't drink anymore. Drink to me, drink.
One song Paul had to reconstruct in the Lagos recording studio had been inspired by a chance meeting months earlier. On holiday in Jamaica, McCartney had run into actors Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman, who were filming the escape thriller Papillon. It was Hoffman who was to inspire, indeed playfully challenge McCartney into writing one of Band on the Run's most enduring songs, Picasso's Last Words.
Waiting for you there. So drink to me, drink to my health. You know I can't drink anymore.
We were wandering around Montego Bay, I think it was, and we're just tourists. And then you see something happening over there where they're all cordoned off. It's a film thing. So then I try and look like me. Hello, what are they doing there? It's me. No.
No, because you're a humble guy, so I don't imagine it's easy for you to go and go, hello, everyone.
And when I'm trying to get in somewhere, believe me, I get in. No, I just sort of saying, who is in? Somebody said, oh, it's Steve McQueen, it's Dustin Hoffman. So we got to know him, got in, did some dinners each and stuff, because, you know, we liked each other's work. And, yeah, he happened to say, you know, I was playing guitar around at his house after dinner, and he happened to say, could you write a song about anything? And I said, well, maybe, you know, try me, kind of thing. And he pulled out this article on Picasso, who just died, and it said Picasso's last words were, drink to me, drink to my health. Well, the article didn't sing it, but shortly after, I did. I got my guitar and just made something up, and that became the song.
Drink to me, drink to my health. You know I can't drink anymore.
And it was great just to see Dustin's enthusiasm. Wow!
No, I bet he's freaking out.
He's shouting his wife, hey, look and listen, come here, look what he's just done. I gave him the words and he's done the song.
And
To me, you know, that was kind of sort of how I do it. So it wasn't that surprising, but it was nice that he was surprised.
After the break, the story behind the making of one of the most iconic album covers of all time.
Linda and I suddenly had this idea, let's get a bunch of people in a spotlight.
It's almost like Your Magnificent Seven.
That classic, they got out of jail thing, you know.
Well, I just can't get enough of that sweet stuff my little lady gets behind. Oh, my mama said a time would come when I would find myself in love with you. I didn't think, I never dreamed that I would be around to see true. Whoa, well, I just can't get enough of that sweet stuff my little lady gets behind.
The making of Band on the Run had been a grueling experience for Paul McCartney and Wings. The drummer and lead guitarist had quit, the Nigerian studio was only half finished, Paul and Linda had been mugged, and the demo tapes lost. To get the album recorded at all had been a triumph over adversity. And the experience had taken its toll.
I think, looking back on it, I didn't realise what stress can do to you. You're a young guy, you know, you got stress, what? What's that? I've got stress all the time. I just handle it. I've got big shoulders. But I think we were so stressed that I got like a kind of, well, I just fainted one time, just fainted. And the doctor said it was some sort of breathing thing. He said, you're smoking too much or something. It was one of those. But it was not too clever. Although, I mean, I'd never fainted ever before. And waking up out of a faint was kind of cool.
Really?
Have you ever fainted?
No.
It was kind of nice.
And at the time, is there anyone documenting this? Now, if a band as big as Wings went to Lagos, then, you know, the Sun, the Mirror,
no,
there'd
there
always
was
be.
nothing.
So there was absolutely nothing.
Absolutely
You
nothing.
didn't make the papers back home, or
No.
That must be that,
there.
Yeah,
I
but
barely made the papers there.
that must have been liberating.
It's, yeah, you know, it was good because we were getting on with the work. And so we didn't have to mess with, I mean, it's certainly nothing like it is now. You know, where every little move people do is documented.
When did you realise you had something special?
I think when we got back to England, the fact that we'd made it abroad in Lagos, now you play the tapes in England and they sound different.
Yeah.
Because they've been made in a different environment and they've been soaking up influences of a different place, so they sounded different. And then we set about doing overdubs and little things that we hadn't been able to do, like orchestra and stuff. Mm-hmm. So it started to get kind of raw but professional, which was a nice mix.
Back in London, the album was completed, and there was an increasing confidence that these songs were something special. Attention turned to packaging and promoting the record, and back in the days of the 12-inch LP, the choice of album cover was crucial. Band on the Run was to give rock music one of its most iconic record sleeves.
Well, the rain exploded with a mighty crash as we fell into the sun. And the first one said,
Linda and I suddenly had this idea in bed one night. You know, let's get a bunch of people in a spotlight, like that classic they've got out of jail thing, you know. And then it was like, well, okay, we could get actors or we could just get mates or something. No, we could get like famous people. That'd be good. Because then we like the game that people would guess. You look at the cover, you got to guess who's
Still
who.
do it now, it's
And
brilliant.
people do it now, yeah.
It's almost like your Magnificent Seven. Well, Magnificent Six at least. On the cover with Paul, Linda and Denny were chat show host Michael Parkinson, horror movie star Christopher Lee, the multi-talented Clement Freud, MP,
This man is dangerous.
singer and entertainer Kenny Lynch, Hollywood star James Colburn, and the Liverpool boxer John Conteh.
Thank you very much.
Marshalling this disparate bunch of pseudo-prisoners was celebrity and fashion photographer Clive Arrowsmith.
I never realised, you know, at the time, you know, that it was going to be such an iconic thing all over the world. Somebody said to me the other day, why choose them? You know, well, they were iconic people of the time. They were all and they were alive, whereas Sgt. Pepper, most of the people were dead. Do you see what I mean? And these are all people that were easily recognisable.